Scott, we'll turn it over to you, and you're going to start off talking about problems that you found in e-commerce.
Yeah, and by the way, again, thank you for having me on this webinar. I always enjoy doing these webinars with you, Eric, and I think the world of UI Studios, and I've always looked up to you, Don, at Your Wizards, and it's a pleasure to be with you guys. So let's talk about centralizing your data. You could advance the slide. Oh, actually, go back one, I think. So the premise here is that if you think of a seller who's selling apparel, imagine there's different shirts that they sell that are coming in different colors, that are coming in different fabrics. They come in different sizes. They can be coordinated with specific outfits. And some of those shirts may be appropriate for certain occasions versus others. Some of those shirts may be available from competitors at a higher price or a lower price. If you think about that, think about how managing every detail from how you load these items up on your site and all the variants you're including, the ways that you're curating the experience for shoppers once they're on your site so that they can make it easy to match and assemble wardrobes so that they can make sure that the shirt they're buying is not made of a fabric they're allergic to, how you can be using filters to let them get to what they want as quickly as possible. Think about how you can execute one-to-one marketing so that your marketing messages in Google are tailored to the type of shopper who's going to buy that product, making sure that your bids are optimized so that you're paying an appropriate price to acquire a sale profitably and a customer who's going to buy with you over and over again. Think about your many different websites that you may have, the different marketplaces you may participate in. Coordinating all of this requires some level of data mastery. And so the big idea for this part of the presentation is that merchants who are able to master their data will grow faster and more profitably than those who don't. And the reason why this kind of big blue sky vision for e-commerce, that everything is measured and all data is executed efficiently, and we have this kind of utopian system where everything is based on perfect data. The reason why this is now becoming a reality and why this is going to be one of the big stories at the end of 2016 is because the cost of hosting all of this data in the cloud and processing all of this data is plummeting. And so that's going to create an acceleration. So what we did over the past few years is look into some of the problems that many merchants have been having around data and really around their business to begin with. And a lot of the problems, again, related to this graphic on the slide. So I co-founded my newest company, Grow by Data, because of this simple problem. Many merchants have invested in great purchasing systems to make sure that they're buying the right items at the right time from their vendors. They've invested in good marketing systems, and they have Google Analytics and other repositories for their marketing data. They've built great websites, and they've invested in improving the content in their product catalog and making the website convert better. They've invested in order management software to manage all the operational data. And the problem, the number one problem, the biggest takeaway that we had when we looked at the problems in e-commerce that hold people back is that all of this data is siloed. These systems are not talking to each other. You could advance. So for many retailers, because their data is stuck within those silos, it requires heroic effort to get value from them. It means someone smart with an Excel sheet is going to have to crunch that data, and it creates bottlenecks for everybody else. By the way, Eric, I'm sure you love my graphic here.
I was about to say, Scott, you know that we are a branding company, and our presentation is pretty important to us, right, Scott? You are aware of that fact, correct?
Well, I didn't want to show you up.
Hey, Scott, we'll roll with it, man. It's the data that's important here, okay? So keep trucking.
All right, good. So what are examples of how you can be stuck with data and how that can hold you back from making more money, from growing your business? Well, let's say you wake up one day and you realize, darn, my sales are up, as Don was saying, but my profits are down. How do you know why? If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And so if you have all these data in different systems, if you don't have the right data at your fingertips, then you could spend months trying to figure out that there's 15 best-selling products that you sell that are just out of season, or there's a certain product category that you're selling where your prices are about 8% higher than these new competitors have come into the market. So without centralizing your data, it's hard to pull that insight. What's a new customer worth to us? I can't tell you how many companies come to Exclusive saying, you know, the previous agency I was working with, they were doing pretty well. They got my cost per acquisition down to $15, which is almost a useless data point. Because at the end of the day, if you could acquire a new customer and only sell them a $30 item, but historically people that buy those $30 items tend to spend thousands of dollars over the next few years, wouldn't you want to factor that into your marketing decisions? Wouldn't you want to factor the lifetime value of the customers and the lifetime profitability of their customers so that when you're bidding, you're not holding back on items that are really profitable and you're not overbidding for items that are going to take dollars out of your cash account? No stock to fill customer orders. This is about not having accurate data in each system. So the website says it's available, and then the customer places the order. And then you have to have a customer service rep call that customer up and say, I'm so sorry, it's out of stock. How bad does that make you look? How frustrated does your support team get when that happens? How many loyal customers are you missing out on because you're not offering that great experience? And then when it comes to adding products, a lot of people are trying to add products hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands at a time. Well, what if the data could tell you quickly that certain product categories sell better than others? Certain types of products are frequently bought with others. Prioritize those instead of getting caught in this kind of mess where you're trying to add a lot of products for the sake of adding a lot of products and then having a hard time coordinating all the product details. Next slide. So the result of all of this is that many online retailers, in my experience, find themselves working harder and harder trying to keep up with all these changes. And they're spending more hours. Their team is overburdened. But when they look at the P&L, they're not making more money. In some cases, they're making less. And that's because of making suboptimal decisions by utilizing data that's incomplete or that's dirty. That's because of inefficiently managing your systems and relying on CSV files and daily heroics. That's because of leaving dollars on the table because you're marketing and selling based on incomplete data. So next slide. So what are some practical ways that you can benefit by centralizing your data? What are the kinds of things you would now be able to do if only you had this competency? And you can, I think we're out of order here a little. Oh, no, we're good. I'm sorry. I'm out of order. So when we looked at the retailers that were leveraging their data most successfully, again, the things that they had in common were they were centralizing their data, they had a single point of truth for all their data, and they were breaking silos. And that enabled everybody on their team to make better decisions on a daily basis with everyone focused on ROI and profitability. Next slide. So practical ways that you can benefit by taking my advice and figuring out how you can be centralizing your data. So let's talk about product catalog. As I said before, being able to quickly identify high opportunity items, add them faster by coordinating collaboration between whoever's doing your data entry and whoever's doing your SEO and whoever on your internal team. You need to make sure that the product copy is singing with accurate information. Site experience. So there's a big trend that I've seen in online retail sites using filters, but having great filters that help the shopper drill down into the precise right item that's going to meet their need. That requires being able to manipulate the data quickly and update it quickly so that you can offer better and more comprehensive filtering. Pricing strategy. That's all about maximizing not just gross margin, but maximizing gross margin dollars. And to do that, you need to be able to factor competitor pricing and availability into the prices that you're selling for. A lot of merchants I've found could be raising their prices 5, 6, 7% without losing any sales. That's margin immediately. And a lot of other merchants are realizing that sales are suffering because on certain items, new competitors are trying to outcompete them. And then marketing, again, optimizing for profit rather than kabuki theater, and growing average order value by identifying items that are commonly bought together and associating them into product bundles so that you're selling an orange, where your competitors are selling apples.
Very good, Scott. And guys, if you're not yet using Exclusive Concepts and some of the information that Scott is covering here, if that sounds interesting to you, rest assured this is not just rhetoric from Scott. His company is amazing in helping merchants sort through the data and make sure that it's working for you. So Scott, I really appreciate you putting this information together. I know you're going to stick around for marketing trends in just a second.